In every British Indian home, there's a quiet shimmer that outlasts generations, not just metal, but memory. A bangle polished before a wedding, a chain tucked away for safety. Gold, the silent witness to migration, love, and loss. It gleams through time, crossing oceans and borders, tucked in silk cloths, hidden in luggage, resting against skin. It speaks in a language older than markets, older than money itself. A dialect of devotion, duty, and survival. This is the metal that never asked for faith, yet always received it. When banks closed, it remained. When nations changed, it endured. It holds the warmth of hands that feared losing everything but refused to lose meaning. In its glow, you see more than wealth. You see a lineage, a lesson, a quiet defiance. Gold doesn't just belong to the past. It breathes in the present, gleaming in both memory and promise. This is the gold habit, where legacy gleams brighter than currency. In the still morning light, an elderly woman sits by her window, polishing bangles that once belonged to her mother. The soft clinking of gold against gold becomes a rhythm, an inheritance sung in metal. Her granddaughter watches, half curious, half distracted by her phone, unaware that what glitters in her grandmother's hands isn't just wealth, it's a lineage. Each bangle carries fingerprints of history, of ceremonies, departures, and new beginnings. In that gleam lives the echo of migration, the scent of marigolds, the voice of a past refusing to fade. Gold here is not decoration, it is devotion cast in permanence. For generations, British Indian families have carried gold not only across oceans but across meaning. To their ancestors, it was Lakshmi herself, the goddess of prosperity, the promise of divine security. When they left Bombay, Punjab, or Gujarat for Britain's colder skies, gold was the bridge that connected warmth to uncertainty. It shimmered through every wedding, every festival, every reunion, a visible reminder that faith could still take shape. Where the bank balance felt foreign, gold felt fluent. It spoke the same language their hearts remembered, the one that transcended both currency and country. Today, as modern life rushes through screens and stocks, that same gold sits quietly in velvet boxes, patient, eternal. It doesn't shout, it endures. The grandmother's hands slow with age, but the gold never tarnishes. To her, these ornaments are more than heirlooms. They are witnesses to survival. They gleamed through colonization, partition, migration, and still glimmer in the suburbs of Birmingham and Leicester. The granddaughter may invest in crypto, but she still reaches for those bangles on Diwali. Because somewhere between heritage and habit, she understands. Gold isn't just wealth, it's belonging wrapped in metal. Long before the planes and passports, there were ships, crowded, heavy with dreams and gold sewn into the lining of saris. In the quiet panic of departure, families clutched what could not betray them. The weight of something pure, unchanging. Gold was never just a jewel, it was a shield against the unknown. During partition, when banks burned and borders split families apart, it was gold that crossed the lines. Soft enough to bend, strong enough to endure. It glittered in the shadows of fear and became a silent currency of survival. For many, trust in gold was born not of greed, but of grief, a metallic memory of everything that could not be trusted. When those same families reached Birmingham, Leicester, and Southall, they carried that memory in their suitcases and souls. Britain's polished institutions, banks, credit cards, stocks, spoke in accents they didn't yet understand. Gold spoke plainly. It could be weighed, hidden, pawned, or worn. It didn't need translation, paperwork, or permission. The first generation of migrants kept it close, often within reach of the kitchen cupboard or under the bed, a private vault of reassurance. In their eyes, the pound was a guest. Gold was family. They had learned through history that institutions could collapse, currencies could crumble, but the glow of gold never disappeared. It held its silence, steady, loyal, certain. And so, the tradition hardened into instinct. The habit of trust was not misplaced nostalgia. It was a rational inheritance shaped by instability. In a world that asked for signatures, they offered faith instead. This was not mistrust of progress. It was a deeper form of logic, one learned through centuries of impermanence. The British Indian love for gold was not an economic choice, but an emotional contract, a pact between past and present. Every coin, every chain, every bangle whispered the same lesson. Systems may fail, but what gleams in your hand can never lie. There is something profoundly human about the need to touch what we own. to feel the cool weight of gold between our fingers, to know that it is real, unchanging, unvanishing. For many British Indian families, this is not just preference but protection. In a world that has shifted to invisible wealth, numbers on screens, stocks that flicker and fall, gold stands like a monument of certainty. It gleams under the light, steady and silent, while the digital world trembles with volatility. When one holds gold, they hold more than metal. They hold control. They hold a truth that no algorithm can rewrite, no market can erase. The second generation, born between two worlds, often finds themselves balancing inheritance and innovation. Their parents taught them that safety has a shine. The world teaches them that growth hides in graphs. And yet, emotion doesn't yield to logic so easily. For them, the tactile pull of gold is not superstition, but muscle memory. They still find comfort in the sound of bangles clinking in drawers, even as they scroll through investment apps. The possession itself is a form of peace, a quiet sovereignty. Gold doesn't depend on Wi-Fi, on banks, or on promises. It is there, tangible and loyal. It belongs to the hand that holds it. This is why the psychology of gold runs deeper than economics. It is a study of human need. In uncertainty, the mind craves something that does not vanish with tomorrow's headline. Gold fulfills that yearning. It stays. To touch it is to believe again, to quiet the doubt that modern life stirs. It satisfies an emotional logic that no chart can measure, a soft rebellion against the abstraction of modern wealth. For the British Indian community, gold is not just a safe investment. It is a statement of control in a world that moves too fast to grasp. In every shimmer of gold, there is a story waiting to be told, a celebration, a promise, a bond. Across the British Indian diaspora, gold lives not just in safes, but in ceremonies, in the shared language of rituals that speak louder than words. At weddings, it glows like sunlight on silk. During Diwali, it catches the flame of devotion. In dowries, it travels from mother to daughter like a whispered blessing. Each piece, a necklace, a ring, a bangle, carries its own heartbeat, its own unspoken memory. To give gold is to give trust. To receive it is to inherit faith. It is the silent guest at every milestone, gleaming, sacred, eternal. Yet beyond its glitter, gold binds communities together through unseen economics. In places like Southall, Leicester, and Wembley, the jewelry shops stand like small temples of continuity, passed down through generations, filled with laughter, haggling, and stories. These are not just places of trade, but of belonging. Here, every transaction is intimate. The jeweler knows your family, your festival, your daughter's wedding date. Gold becomes a medium of connection, a way of circulating care within a cultural network that never stops giving. It is an economy built on trust, not contracts, one where reputation replaces paperwork and honor outweighs interest. Through gold, wealth moves quietly, from one household to another, across generations and oceans, keeping communities afloat in ways invisible to financial reports. And still, the beauty of this tradition is not only in its economics, but in its poetry. The glint of gold at a wedding is more than ornament. It is status wrapped in sentiment, a visible form of pride and continuity. To wear gold is to carry your history publicly, to say, I belong, I remember, I continue. Within the British Indian experience, gold remains both gift and guardian, a bridge between affection and security. In a world obsessed with digital wealth, this living tradition reminds us that sometimes value still needs a human hand. In the digital glow of a new age, the ancient shine of gold still finds its way into modern hands. But now it glimmers differently. For the younger generation of British Indians, the idea of wealth no longer lies entirely in a jewelry box. It flickers on screens, in digital vaults, and exchange-traded funds. Yet even as pixels replace bangles, the sentiment remains untouched. That same pulse of security, that same reverence for permanence in a world that changes too fast. It is no longer about hoarding metal, but about preserving meaning. The act of investing in gold, whether digital or physical, is a ritual of remembrance, an unbroken thread linking their grandparents' wisdom to their own pursuit of stability. The modern alchemists are not chemists, but children of migration, fluent in both the language of tradition and the grammar of global finance. They balance two worlds with quiet grace, wearing gold at Diwali and buying ETFs by December. Their wrists still carry the shine of legacy, but their minds move through algorithms, graphs, and global indexes. In this blending, something beautiful emerges. An evolution of belief, not a rejection. Gold is no longer just a keepsake. it becomes a concept, a symbol of adaptability. It proves that tradition need not stand still to remain sacred. Within every new form of trade, there's an echo of the old faith, that gold, no matter its shape, will not betray you. And yet, this transformation carries questions that glimmer beneath the surface. Can something so ancient survive the abstraction of modernity? Can the soul of a tradition live in numbers and screens? Perhaps it can. For gold, in its essence, has always been a metaphor. For trust, for love, for continuity. Whether held in the hand or seen on a digital balance sheet, its meaning remains the same. It is proof that some habits are not outdated, they are timeless. In every click of a trade, every inherited ring, the gold habit evolves, but it never disappears. Beyond the shop windows of Southall, Wembley, and Green Street lies a world that hums quietly, the hidden heartbeat of Britain's gold trade. Here, in these narrow corridors lined with glass and glow, deals are sealed with nods, not signatures. Trust, not paperwork, holds the economy together. A jeweler wipes a counter, weighing bangles as families whisper stories that travel farther than any coin. The scent of incense mixes with the metallic tang of polish. Every gram carries memory, a dowry promised, a son's future saved, a daughter's wedding secured. This is not commerce, it's continuity in disguise. In every transaction, there is faith. London's Little India is more than a marketplace. It's a map of inherited instincts. Here, purity is tested not just in carats, but in reputation. A dealer's word can be as strong as the gold he sells. Families who once trusted gold to carry them through partition and migration now pass that same trust to their neighborhood jeweler. Beneath the neon signs and quiet chatter, a network thrives. Invisible, informal, yet unbreakable. Loans move without contracts, purchases without receipts, because the foundation isn't profit, it's community. In a world governed by numbers and systems, this world beats to an older rhythm, the rhythm of faith. Step closer and you'll see. Gold doesn't rest in safes here. It circulates, living through the hands that buy, sell, and gift it. The sound of polishing wheels becomes a kind of prayer, the light on a finished chain, a small act of devotion. Behind every counter is a lineage, stories that shimmer with both migration and survival. This is the economy of memory, where tradition wears the mask of trade. And as the shop shutters close at dusk, one truth lingers in the air like perfume. Gold is not just wealth, it is connection, kept alive in whispers, weighed in trust, and carried forward in the quiet glow of London's Little India. In the quiet of a London evening, an old woman sits by her window, polishing a set of bangles that have known more journeys than she has years left. The gold catches the fading light, glowing like an ember from another world. Each bangle carries a story, of a wedding in Punjab, a voyage to Britain, a new life built on old prayers. As her granddaughter watches, a bridge forms between generations, wordless, invisible, unbreakable. The metal gleams, and in its reflection, the past stares back, tender and undefeated. This is not nostalgia, it is survival polished to brilliance. Time may have shifted the setting, from Bombay's bazaars to Birmingham's terraces, but the ritual remains. Gold is still laid gently into palms, still blessed, still believed in. It is the one thing that endures when language changes and accents evolve. In the world of fast trades and fleeting markets, gold moves at the speed of emotion. It is not bought, it is entrusted, not displayed, but carried like faith. It holds the scent of home, the sound of ancestors' laughter, the touch of those who came before. What the world calls wealth, these families call remembrance. And so, as another wedding song rises somewhere in Southall, another pair of hands passes down the same bracelets, not for value, but for meaning. The cycle continues. Metal turned memory, memory turned inheritance. The glow of gold becomes the glow of love that outlives all exchange rates. It reminds us that sometimes, what seems irrational in the eyes of finance can be profoundly human in the heart. The British Indian gold habit, after all, isn't about resistance to modernity. It is a quiet defiance of forgetting, a vow that even in a new world, some things must still shine the old way. Even now, in a world ruled by numbers and noise, the gold habit breathes quietly beneath the surface. Steady, luminous, eternal. It lives in the way a mother saves a small coin for her daughter's future, or how a young man buys a single chain, not for fashion, but for faith. It glows in shop windows on London's Green Street and in the soft laughter of families at Diwali. Every piece of gold is a memory disguised as metal, a reflection of where we came from and what we refuse to lose. The market may rise and fall, economies may crumble and rebuild, but the instinct to hold something real endures. Because gold, for many, is not about wealth. It is about assurance that no matter where the world drifts, something remains solid, pure, and ours. And so, the story continues, in homes and temples, in vaults and hearts. The British Indian gold habit is not an echo of the past, but a rhythm that keeps time with the present. It reminds us that security is not only found in systems, but in symbols that carry soul. When you see that familiar glint, know that it's more than shine. It's a reflection of history, of migration, of trust reborn in every generation. Gold endures because it mirrors the most human of desires. To belong, to protect, to remember. The gold habit lives on, not as nostalgia, but as legacy. If this story moved you, share it. Let it travel like the gold it speaks of, from one hand, one heart, to another. Like, subscribe, and follow AfterTime for more untold truths and timeless journeys. Because every story, like every glint of gold, carries a light worth keeping.